The CLA Game Fair 2013 was held here in the beautiful parkland of Ragley Hall near Ulster, Warwickshire. The popularity of field sports is demonstrated here by the vast number of visitors over the 3 days of this event. There's literally everything here associated to rural business and recreation. It's a paradise for dog lovers, especially sporting dog lovers. The CLA International Working Test is always popular. The home international team colours were Wales in red, England white, Ireland green and Scotland in blue. CSJ Specialist Canine Feeds Limited, the UK's premium dog food company, has sponsored Scotland and Wales for 8 and 4 years respectively. CSJ have their own range of specially formulated dog foods, numerous vitamin and herb supplements, treats and much more. Everything to keep your dog healthy and full of stamina. We are going to see some of the UK's top working test handlers and their dogs in action, filmed over 2 days. And while it's difficult to see every run entirely, we see enough to show how willing these dogs are to work and talk to their handlers. It's a competition without live game, the shots fired are blanks and the dogs are retrieving dummies. Points scored are determined by the efficiency of the find and retrieve. Too much deviation off course by the dog would lose points, as would too many helpful commands by the handler. Each handler is accompanied by a judge who awards the points. At the end of the 2 days, the points are totalled up and the team with the most wins.
It's a matter of getting the dog to the right direction, but also taking...
I asked Alistair Jones of the Welsh Spaniel team what it takes to win.
To win the competition, you've got to have a really good, hard hunting dog, because most of the points, you get 80 points for the hunting. If a dog hunts well, it'll be scored high. The retrieves, you have 4 different retrieves and they're all based points out of 10. So you can maybe drop a point or 2 on the retrieves, but if you can make it up on the hunting, that's what's going to make the top dog.
When people talk about the pattern, what do they mean?
The pattern is quartering. Basically, the dog needs to quarter in front of you, from left to right, in a nice, neat, flowing pattern. That's the way they would sort of find their game in a shooting situation on pheasants and rabbits. And if the dogs carry a bit of speed and style, it certainly shows up. So quartering of the pattern is very important.
I asked Allard how well did his dog manage the water retrieve.
I was very pleased. Maximum points of the water was 10, and luckily I managed to get 10. There was an obstacle, there was a fence which the dog needed to jump before actually going into the water to retrieve. Some dogs did jump them, but I was lucky enough, he did jump the fence and he came back over the fence again, and that gave me the maximum points of 10 out of 10.
I was wondering whether the cheering and clapping had an effect on these dogs. I asked the question to James Stevenson of the Scottish team.
Well, it then becomes it's a totally unnatural environment for the spaniels. You need one with a bit of temperament that's going to cope with the noise of the stand, the clapping, the coming and going. So it's hard to train for that, the crowd there, but you just have to hope for the best.
The Scottish team's sponsorship provided by CSJ. Helpful?
Well, I think a company like CSJ, it's been absolutely superb, their sponsorship. As I say, in the current climate just now, there's not a lot of money about. Companies are having to put their hand in their pocket to sponsor an event like this. So I think it's absolutely fantastic. And without a company like that, I don't think we would be here.
Do you have any advice for a young person wanting to take up the sport?
Join a club. Try and find somebody local that's got spaniels. If people are very, very helpful. I got my first spaniel, didn't know anybody. Actually had a few lessons with a couple of people, and then it just took off from there. And people are very, very helpful. If you've got the willingness and you want to go out and 3 and 4 nights a week in the rain and the cold and do the hard work, people will help you. So I would say go for it. See where it takes you.
Well, it's taken James in the right direction. The next competitor I met was Alistair Ross from the Welsh team. I asked Alistair how many times he'd competed in this annual competition.
This is my third time for Wales, and obviously I'm from Scotland. I have ran for Scotland as well in the CLA, but when we moved to Wales we got fortunate enough to be selected for them. I've been lucky enough, I've had a good success in working tests. I won Chatsworth 2 years in a row, this year and last year, with my Spaniel. I've won the beta test, shooting times test with a Labrador, so I've done quite well. I've been fortunate enough, I've had good dogs, and we've been on the right road with them.
What do you think about the course?
The course, it's a nice course, and it's nice to have cover on it as well, and you know, we're fortunate enough to be on beautiful estates doing these tests. We get to see beautiful places, everything like that. The course here, you couldn't ask for anything better.
Some cover at the top end.
Exactly, yeah, I was in it yesterday, I was nearly lost myself. But no, good course, good course.
Alistair continued to hunt the long grass and achieved an impressive 97 points. Making his debut to the Scottish international team was young Joe Hipwell, competing alongside Ireland. I managed to catch up with Joe to find out how he made it to the top. Joe, how long have you been in the international team?
This is my first year in the team. Got 2 dogs in and had a go this spring, went to the selection tests to try and get in and got lucky with 2 of them, but this is my first time.
How did that feel?
Well, my feelings in the run-up to it were nerves, and I was anxious about the preparation because when I've been in competitions and trials and things before, it's all been me. You know, if it doesn't go quite as you'd like it to, it's only yourself that's got to beat yourself up at night. But here, all the scores are added up as a team thing. So if something doesn't go very well, you're not just letting yourself down, you're letting the team down. But reversely, if you do well, everyone's pleased.
Presumably you had a good teacher.
My grandfather, Edward Martin, who's been a great, mentor to me and shown me the ropes, that kind of thing. And he's got a good work ethic, which I think has helped. And he makes sure, I work hard, I get a job done, and he's a good teacher, like I say. That if you looked on my back, it's full of whip marks where it's come on, boy. I need whipping into shape sometimes, because in order to, in any sport, it's the top 10% of the competitors that get all the prize money and all the prizes. And if you want to be in that top 10%, and gun dogs is no different to football or Formula 1 or anything, if you want to be in that top 10%, you've got to be out there, when it's cold and it's raining, training your dogs and getting them to that top standard, really.
Joe says he's your apprentice.
Well, he may say he's my apprentice, but in actual fact, he's teaching me things as well, because he comes home with a few ideas about different ways of doing things, and there have been 1 or 2 that I've sat back and thought to myself, yes, here comes the youngster going to teach the old boy something.
You've won the competition.
Yes, I know, but he's also going to do that one day. I was fortunate enough to come out as top dog. It wasn't with the dog that I was expecting to do, but that life is full of surprises.
The temperature was unusually hot and humid over the 3 days of this show, making it a bit uncomfortable for the dogs. Did it affect Roger Phillips' dog?
Yeah, my dog was a little bit underpowered. I felt it very much yesterday morning. I was the first dog on of the retrievers, so it's always a little bit difficult because you're more or less like a guinea pig. Everybody else is watching you to see how your dog goes. I felt him quite a bit underpowered. I don't know whether it was the weather that got to him. He's quite a soft dog in temperament, and maybe a little bit of the weather and a little bit of the extensive or excessive training that we've done over the last 6 weeks. Maybe I felt it taken a little bit of an edge off him, and I did expect a little bit more of him, to be honest.
How long have you been training?
I've been training Labradors now for about 25 years. I've achieved quite a bit in that time. I've made up 3 field trial champions. I was also the first Welsh person ever to win the CLA Game Fair outright, the top international gun dog in Scotland, about 15 years ago. I've also judged the CLA, and I was very fortunate enough to be invited to judged the IGL Retriever Championship in 2011.
It must be good to have loyal sponsors for the event.
Oh, Kerry's been absolutely fantastic for us with CSJ Pet Foods. I mean, she's been absolutely fabulous. And obviously, she puts a lot of money and a lot of effort into our sponsorship. And not just us, she also sponsors the Scottish team. So, you know, from our point of view, we very, very much appreciate what she's doing for us.
I asked the Scotland captain, Jim Clark, does wind direction have an influence?
Yeah, the wind has quite a bit of influence. I mean, it makes you, you've got to decide where the wind's coming. In a competition like this, there are always flags flying about, so you have a good indication of what way the wind is coming. And you always send your dog on the retrieve to the downside of the wind so that it'll pick the scent up. If your dog is even a metre on the wrong side of the wind on the retrieve, then you have to stop it and handle it so that you lose marks.
Do you have to train them to jump?
Yes, you train them to jump. You train them from a young age to jump. I mean, you could train them coming out the kennel by putting a board on the kennel door and putting their foot on the other side. You've got to train them to jump at different places. I mean, they're no good at picking one fence and getting them to jump that fence. You've got to take them to different places. You've got to teach them to jump dikes. So it's an exercise in itself, a continual exercise, training them to jump.
Good competition?
Very, very good competition. The only problem was we didn't win. We were second. I mean, but then again, you know, you've got to, we'll sit down and maybe say 6 weeks' time and we'll analyse what happened and what we done so that we could correct our mistakes and come back next year a little bit stronger. I mean, it all comes down to, you know, a point lost here, a point lost there. But, I mean, when you want to win, then obviously you have to score as much points as you possibly can.
That was a long swim, but I'm sure Harris found the cool water refreshing. Alan Reece, captain for Wales. Was it his first time at Ragley Hall?
No, this is the second time we've been at Ragley Hall. We came here about 3 years ago.
And what do you think about the course?
Very interesting. It's very fair. It's very good. They put a lot of work into it and it's challenged us all the way through, so I'm very pleased with it.
What's it like competing with Ireland, England and Scotland? Stiff competition?
It's always a stiff competition. Unfortunately for us in Wales, we don't have the volume of professional trainers and professional handlers. But we've come here and I think we've done a good job. We've competed hard and we've held our own to a big extent, so I'm quite pleased.
And how about the facilities and the organisation?
I think it's been excellent this year. The people that have laid it in, Sandra Onions and Norman, have been absolutely fabulous. Barbara as well, the chairman. They've done us proud and, well, like every year really, it's been great.
Competitor Eddie Scott won the 2013 English Springer Spaniel Championships held at the Buccleuch Estate, Dumfries and Galloway in January with his dog Broomfield Rosetta. What started him with CSJ dog food?
Well, the local stokist up in Scotland, a chap called Billy Leonard, he was using them and he approached Kerry when I won the Cocker Championship about some sponsorship, so Kerry kindly gave me a year's supply of dog food and I've been using it ever since.
What's fruit and mutt?
Fruit and mutt's a cereal bar. It's a mixture of nuts, fruits, various concoctions. It has oils in it for stamina, and we use that primarily. I primarily use it in the grouse moors, but even at the trialling time, you know, you give them about half a bar in the morning, and after their first run, you maybe give them about 1/8 of a bar. And sometimes, if you're trialling, especially in hot weather at the start of the season, you know, it could be energy sapping and taking a lot out of the dogs that first run. You know, they're giving it everything they've got, and they just need that, and it's quick acting. That's the good thing. It's not a long acting thing. It's quick acting. It gets the boost up. It kind of gets the energy back in. It keeps the energy levels, and it helps the dogs perform better throughout the day.
What's the ideal competing age for a trial dog?
You're looking at a peak age between sort of 4-year-old and 6. You can, because you get them, and you can win early with them. I mean, that dog herself, she won 3 of her first 5 trials to make her a field trial champion when she was young. She was only, I think, just 2.5 and she was a champion. But field trial champion title doesn't give you experience, you know, it's just the fact that you've done well on the day. So it took another year and a half sort of to get the right kind of experience and build it up. So you're looking for 4 to 6, you should be looking at a top quality dog, you can. And then from 6 going on, maybe the physical condition cuts them back a bit. You can, they're maybe, it's just like everybody else as we get a wee bit older, you're maybe not quite as fit and recover quite as well. But the fruit and mutt does make a big difference to that.
In the stands, a small section of the Scottish contingent were wide awake and as usual in good spirits, including the Scottish International Team Secretary, Alison Sawley. I asked Alison about team selection.
And we've got 3 selectors, 4 selectors, plus the captain, and I monitor the scores from working tests throughout the season, and then I give them a note of all the good dogs that have come through, and they take on for further selection, and then they pick the team from that. I get all their details and forward to Kerry, and Kerry so kindly sponsors it. She orders shirts and coats and everything like that.
So you've got to get all the collar sizes?
I've got to get the collar sizes, yes, from 19 inch to 16 inch.
What a lovely lady. At the end of the competition, prizes were given out by His Lordship, the Marquess of Hertford. The winners with a total of 1,063 points were Ireland, followed by England with 1,036 points. In third place came Scotland with 1,000 points, followed by Wales with 989 points. These are the final scores relating to each breed. Special thanks are conveyed to the CLA and indeed everybody who played a part in this production.